Hello, you lovely ladies and gentlemen. We finally have some more Advance Wars Reboot Camp news. The YouTube channel Nintendo Life just released a 10-minute review of sorts of the Reboot Camp. Apparently they got early access and they were able to play through, in their words, the first 13 chapters of the Advance Wars 1 campaign. And I'm gonna be honest, I watched the whole video twice. There's not a lot of things to talk about here. They mostly just showed things that we have seen before, and they also kind of just... It was clear that this video was not for the hardcore fans. This was very much kind of like a video for beginners. They were like, oh, you can capture buildings and move units around, and it's really cool. So yeah, not a whole lot to delve into in this video, but they did say that they are going to release another video as soon as they play the Advance Wars 2 campaign, and they're going to be showing footage from that closer to release, in their words. It's pretty close to release at this point, so I'm guessing maybe in a week or so they'll release the video. You can bet that I will cover it as soon as I am able to. I've been covering the news about this game very extensively. You can check out the news playlist linked in the top right corner of the screen to be caught up to date about everything about this game so far, but I'm going to be sinking my teeth into anything that's new that was revealed in this video. So the first thing I want to talk about is that apparently the field training is very skippable, in their words, or at least that's what they say. You can skip through it very quickly if you are not interested in it. You can choose to delve more deeply into it, but apparently you will be given options to skip a lot of the stuff if you're already a veteran. And that makes me very happy because the field training is a great introduction, it's a great tutorial to Advance Wars, and I recommend anyone who has not played Advance Wars before, but starting with Reboot Camp, to play through it because it is really good. But I do not relish the thought of having to spend like an hour playing through field training. I do hope that they'll just give me the option to skip right through it. Now, despite claiming to have played the first 13 maps of the campaign, they actually only showed about 3 maps in this video. They showed footage from Mission 2 Gunfighter, as well as Mission 3 Air Ace. They also showed some footage from a few of the field training missions, all of which we have seen before. However, there were a couple new things that we had not seen previously. We now get to see Grit's full normal power activation, and it looks pretty damn badass. Another thing that I've noticed is that the CO dossiers appear to give much more detailed information. They showed us the Nell CO dossier, and it just flat out states now that her troops can do up to 20% extra damage in combats. And this is very different from the first game, where it just states that she has a chance to strike with extra firepower. Now, saying that Nell sometimes strikes with 20% extra damage is not a very accurate picture. As you know, if you've been watching my videos, luck damage is a lot more complicated than that. I made an entire video on it, as well as an analysis on Nell herself. Luck damage is an incredibly complicated topic in Advance Wars, and just saying that Nell sometimes deals 20% extra firepower is a very inaccurate way of describing her powers, but it is probably the simplest way to explain it in the dossier, and I don't necessarily fault them for doing it this way. It is a lot better than just saying she sometimes deals extra damage. This pretty much tells us that the CO dossiers will give much more accurate information. I very much think that they'll just flat out say how much extra firepower and defense certain COs get, which is definitely an improvement. I do wonder if you'll still be able to check out the unit's firepower and maybe even defense by toggling all the way down like you could in the original games. I sure hope that's the case, but either way, giving the player more information is never a bad thing, so that is definitely a good quality of life improvement. Otherwise, aside from the basic stuff that they talked about, they say that this is a very faithful remake. There's not a lot of changes, just quality of life stuff that we've already gone over, like the ability to reset your turns. As I mentioned in one of my other news videos, this is not something new that they're adding. You could do this in the original as well, as it was just a lot more tedious. You could just save your game and then reload it if you wanted to reset your turn. Now you can do it with the click of a button, so it's just faster, and I think that's actually a good thing. But yeah, they say that there's been very few changes to the campaign itself. The maps are identical, the enemy placement is identical. There is some changes in dialogue, because we know that your self-insert that was present in Advance Wars 1 will actually not be there now. In Advance Wars 1, you had to give them your name, and the COs would actually address you as a self-insert, kind of similar to how Mark the Tactician worked in FE7. It was not a character that was very present, but they would occasionally talk to you from time to time. All of that is gone now in the Reboot Camp. All the dialogue which previously mentioned you have been replaced with other kinds of dialogue instead. I think this is a decent change. The self-insert in Advance Wars 1 never really made a lot of sense to me, and I think one of the reasons why they took that part out is because the self-insert is not present in Advance Wars 2. So they would either have to add that character in to Advance Wars 2, or go with the simpler route, which is just to remove the self-insert from Advance Wars 1 altogether. And I think they made the right choice here. Now, up next, they talked very briefly about online features, and this is kind of where I was like, oh, I really wanted to know more, but sadly, they didn't really reveal a lot of information. They just said that, yeah, you can use your Switch to connect locally to up to 4 players to play multiplayer, and that there is online play, you can go and challenge other players online, but they didn't mention anything about matchmaking, nothing about raiding, nothing about a league. It was like nothing about that. According to the developer that I got in touch with a little while back, there's going to be an online lobby with public games, but I think that's going to be as far as it's going to go. I really don't think that they're going to add a league or matchmaking rating or anything like that, although I really hope they will, because otherwise the online experience will not be very fun. They also showed a bit more of the map editor, and this also was something that I really wanted to get more information about, because in case you don't know, it seems like they will heavily restrict the size of maps that you'll be able to upload for other people to play on. Apparently the maps are going to be very small. You can make them bigger, but they won't be okay for online play. And apparently the limit at which you'll be able to upload is extremely low, to the point where I really don't think we'll get good maps if we can just make very tiny ones. And the map that we saw created, it looked pretty small as well. I think that is probably going to be the dimensions for online play, and that really sucks. I really hope they do something about that, because, yeah, I just don't think that's going to be good for the game at all. Now, there is one thing I noticed with this trailer, and this may just be me. I've gone back and I've looked at some of the older footage and comparing it to this one, but it does seem to me like the graphics are a little bit more crisper now compared to what they used to be. It could just very well be that the footage that we've been presented is of a higher quality than the footage that we've previously seen. But when I looked at the gameplay right here, I found it a little bit more easier to differentiate the units and see what is going on. The units appear to be a little bit more crisp, a little bit more clear, a little bit more defined. And again, I don't know if this is just due to Nintendo Life having better recording quality, but I actually like the graphics a little bit better now compared to the graphics that we were shown previously. Again, I'm not very good with details, so I would appreciate if someone actually went and had a look at this for me and like compared the footage with footage that we've been shown previously, but it seems like the units are just a tiny bit more clear. It looks like they've touched up the sprites a little bit to make the graphics a little bit more appealing. I still think it looks pretty ugly, but it looks a little bit better than what I saw in the earlier footage. Now, I had something that I was hoping for, and I know it's a complete fever dream, I know it was never going to happen, but I was hoping that after 2 years of delays that they would maybe implement a classic button that would swap the game back to a more old school looking graphics, kind of similar to how the Red Alert remakes allows you to swap back and forth with a button. I know it was not very realistic to have those kinds of expectations, but I really do believe that if they added something like that, the game would just sell better, because I gotta be honest, the new graphics are really ugly and I really don't like them, and if we had an option to revert it to more of a 2D style sprite graphics, it didn't have to look like the original, but just something a bit more simple, I think most people would probably revert to that. But there was no mention of that anywhere in the video, so I don't think it's likely that we're ever gonna get something like that. But yeah, at least the game looks a bit more crisp now. So yeah, that was pretty much everything that I could sink my teeth into in this video. Maybe you guys noticed something that I didn't. If you did, then please point it out in the comment section below. But as I said, this video wasn't really super interesting for those of us who have been heavily following the Advance Wars news cycle. This is a good video to show to beginners who have not played Advance Wars before, or people who have not been in the loop. It did a great job of catching everyone up to speed. But I will say I am very much looking forward to their next video, which will apparently show footage from the Advance Wars 2 campaign. And I wouldn't be surprised if they give us a few more CO designs and stuff, like maybe we'll get to see Lash and Hawk and Flak in action. That'd be really cool. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. At the time of making this video, there's now 16 days until the game releases, so just a little over 2 weeks. So I would be surprised if they wait more than a week to release this next video. I think they definitely should release it soon. So when they do, I'm going to cover it as soon as possible, and I think that that will be a much more interesting video than this one. But hey, there were some tidbits here and there. I'm happy they released it. I'm excited to see this game come now. Let me know in the comment section, are you still hyped for this game? Are you not hyped for this game? What are your general feelings on it at the moment? Do you think it's going to be good? Do you think it's going to be bad? Do you think it's going to be a good time to play through it? I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Manx. Subscribe for more Advanced Wars news, leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.